Salmon are really a backbone of Alaska's economy and Alaska's culture. And therefore, it's a species that really connects all Alaskans.
In Alaska, salmon are really important to commercial industry as well as recreational and subsistence harvest. And so characterizing salmon response to ocean acidification is really important for informing how different species are going to fare in the future.
Ocean acidification is a process where carbon dioxide produced by humans gets absorbed in the ocean, and it changes the chemistry in that it makes the water more acidic. Alaska's naturally cold water holds more gas, thereby potentially making the seawater more acidic, which is why it's important for Alaska.
The Tipping Points project is an interdisciplinary project that looks at how Alaska's salmon fisheries can adapt to climate change. We're looking basically at tipping points in the system, in the Gulf of Alaska ecosystem. Whenever you talk about a system change that may support salmon or may not support salmon in a certain way. And so that has implications for fisheries. And the Tipping Point project really wants to look if we can detect an upcoming tipping point ahead of time and respond within our salmon management system in a way that's going to optimize either the damages to our commercial fisheries or tries to minimize the losses to our commercial fisheries.
We're doing this study at the Alutiiq Pride Shellfish Hatchery. They have the facilities to carry out a study of this scale. And they also have what's called a percolator on site, which is a really accurate way to measure the chemistry of the water. We targeted pink salmon because they are a very large fishery for us here. And they also represent a really good fish to study because they're small and we can culture them pretty easily in the lab. For this study in particular, we're looking at the direct impacts on salmon, so the influence of ocean acidification on their growth and physiology. We're also interested in looking at the indirect effects, so understanding how it changes to the ecosystem, and for us, that would be food availability for the salmon. And this study is going to be for roughly 3 months. It's probably the longest study that is been undertaken on ocean acidification in salmon.
This experiment will culture the salmon in different PCO2 treatments. So we have a high PCO2 and a low PCO2, and those represent a current ambient treatment and then a future predicted ocean acidification treatment. And then crossed on top of that, we have food levels. So we have a normal food level and then a reduced food level that we'd expect to see under future OA conditions. These buckets here are our culture vessels. They cover all 4 of our treatments. Within each culture vessel is 20 juvenile pinks. They will continue to grow and live in their conditions. They get different food regimens based on their treatment. And then we sample once a week to track growth over time. And we're also going to be looking at hormone stress response and intracellular stress response.
This laboratory study is part of a larger study, and the idea is that we're going to take the results that we get from this and put it into a model for us to understand how changes in chemistry are going to affect the fish and how that might affect the economies of Alaska.
If we can characterize the response of these species to ocean acidification, it could help us potentially protect them in the future. And that is a responsibility for everyone, not just the scientists. It's down to the people who fish, it's down to the people who run the boats, it's down to the people who work the processing lines. All of us should care because it's important to every single one of us.
I think it's a very exciting project, simply because it's somewhat groundbreaking in the way that it integrates different interdisciplinary components. I think the ocean conditions that are predicted and the change that is coming, I think we have to have more information on that, and this project will help us to move the needle a little bit towards being more knowledgeable in our response in the future.